Hi everyone, my name is Corrin. I'm a freelance criminal paralegal, and in today's video, I want to talk about an underrated topic of how you can build trust with your attorneys. So in my case, since I'm a freelancer, I usually operate 1099. I also have an LLC called Lucid Legal Support, but I think this also applies to any paralegal working in any law firm setting, W-2, 1099, what have you, on the importance of building that trust and relationship with your attorney. So the first tip that I want to give for how to build trust with your attorney clients and what I do is I over-communicate. I remember when I first started as a paralegal and I would try to send emails, I would try to follow up with them in their office, and I just wasn't getting a whole lot back. And I took that as, okay, they don't want to hear from me, they're too busy, there's too much on their plate. The last thing they want is to hear from me. And it was actually the opposite. That's actually not the case unless your attorney specifically tells you otherwise. But what I found out is that, as we all know, attorneys are just busy and they don't have time to communicate back with you traditionally with a thanks for letting me know, or got it, we'll follow up later, something that makes sense. Attorneys are busy, they have other stuff to do, they can't always respond effectively that way. So when I say I over communicate, especially with my clients, a lot of the time it's on any type of updates with case activity, just so they're in the know. If there's any deadlines coming up, if I haven't heard from them for a while, I might not spam them as, oh my gosh, I'm gonna try to get a hold of you until you get a hold of me sort of thing. I just say spam in terms of sending more than one message in a row. This is how I identify spam. But I will follow up with them a couple of times and say, hey, this is what I need from you to review, or what do you need from me? If I haven't heard from my clients, attorney clients in a while, I'll say, hey, what do you need from me right now? This is my availability. I'm happy to jump on this case or with that or whatever. And also because I travel a lot, I also need to communicate time off. So I usually try to let my attorney clients know a couple weeks in advance, hey, I'm taking this time off. I'll let them know maybe a week before, a couple days before, because people can be forgetful. It's all right. Every attorney client that I've talked to has said that they prefer the reminders and over communication than the under communication. So again, I would definitely try to get a feel with your attorney on what they prefer. This is just my experience, and what kind of backfired initially with just not talking to them didn't serve them. So that's my first tip. The second tip I want to give for how to build trust with your attorneys is do what you say you're going to do. And I know that sounds really self-explanatory, but I've talked to a couple paralegals in the field where they say, yep, I can handle this, or I can take this on by this date that it's needed, and then they're either overwhelmed or they underestimated how much time it was going to take for them to do something. And I think when you're first starting out, there's obviously that learning period of how much can you take on? How much can you do to meet all the deadlines? So while you're figuring out, it might be really difficult to set that deadline or give that inclination. But after you kind of got in your flow, I think it's really important to say, hey, I can prioritize this, and then I'm going to put this on the back burner for a minute to meet this deadline. Is that okay? Or if it's just a one-off project, point blank, the attorney gives me a task. Okay, awesome. I'll have that to you by tomorrow. Cool. If it's a little bit of a longer project, I'm writing a longer motion or brief or something. Okay, I will get this to you at least a week before the filing date. And a lot of times, me personally, I try to get stuff to attorneys even sooner than what I'm saying, because I want some leeway and room for their review, and if there's any revisions needed, which happens. I'm not perfect. I don't just write stuff perfectly right off the bat all the time. Feels good when you do, but I just want the attorneys to know, hey, I got this to you sooner. If you can review it sooner, great. If you can't, that's fine. But I like to leave room for needed revisions on how to make my work product better before the due date of filing or the court date or what have you. And the third tip I want to give for how to build trust with your attorney clients, and it may seem unconventional, but don't be afraid to disagree or provide different perspectives to the attorney. This is a little tough, I think, when you're in W-2, because a lot of times the attorney is telling you this is how it is, this is what you're going to do in the law firm, and that's that. It might be because I'm a freelancer and I have a little bit more freedom and leeway in how I work with attorneys. But I get this from every single client I've worked with, that they respect me so much more and appreciate when I bring a different perspective or I don't just agree right away with what they say. Because when we're looking at a case and we're trying to figure out what's valuable and what's not valuable, I might see something that's valuable that they didn't see, and vice versa. Or if we're trying to decide next steps on a case, we're both going to give different ideas on how to handle it. And every single one of my clients has said, I really appreciate that you're not a yes man or yes woman. In my case, I don't just say yes all the time. Now, if I am maybe disagreeing or providing a different perspective or what have you, I always do it with grace and respect for them. This is not an excuse to just have it your way and obviously be disrespectful or say, hey, my opinion matters. No, absolutely not. At the end of the day, it is still the attorney's decision. It's their bar license. It's their law firm. If I bring a perspective and they don't agree with it, fine, back off. Totally cool. I'm adapting. This is what we're going to do. But at least now you know different perspectives and different things that you should take into consideration. If they don't find it valuable information or perspective, that is totally fine. But I think that, like I said, that just, I think, gives you more respect from the attorney, that you're not just going to say yes all the time. And they get to see how you think, how you see things, how you interpret things. And in order to really build that trust and that solid relationship with the client, they need to know what you bring to the table and what you can see and what you can interpret. So whether you're on the same page, if it's yes, we're on the same page, we got this, or oh my gosh, I didn't think about that, they're going to be like, wow, I really like how he or she thinks or interprets this case, or whatever the matter is. They're not going to know until you voice that. So that's why I feel like that's really important to build trust and solidify your relationship with the attorney. If you found this helpful, feel free to like, subscribe, comment. Is there anything that I missed? Is there anything that you disagree with? This is just based on my experiences and my success with building relationships with attorneys, but I'm super interested to hear from other paralegals, from attorneys themselves. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you in the next video.